A curling iron for short hair. That's what I'm bringing to you today, because the curling iron for short hair has really been one of my very favorite things. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's something that when we do hair, we're like, no, I like a flat iron. No, I like a wand. I like a curling iron. Comment it below which one is your absolute favorite. But I'm gonna be using a curling iron today. I haven't used a ton of those on YouTube, but I think the curling iron is like really make a comeback for, we used to see wands all the time and flat irons all the time, but I really do think that curling iron, you can do some great things with it, and it creates beautiful, soft curls. So how I use my curling iron for soft curls, here we go. All right, so here's the thing. A curling iron cannot give you exactly what a flat iron can give you, or this handy dandy Le Duo from Lange. I know Heritage has one over at Walmart that's a lot like this too, but a flat iron is very, very useful. That I think the one thing where curling irons kind of can get a bad rap for is a wand, just, they can over curl the ends. And we're in this era where we don't. So I'm gonna show you how you're gonna use your curling iron without really utilizing those ends. So there's a couple different things that you can do here. You can incorporate a flat iron or a tool like the Le Duo, or just use the curling iron. So I'm gonna show you a couple of different things that I do with that. But I am creating a loose hair curl, okay? So this is more of a wave. I call it a curl, and then sometimes I get harassed in the comments. So if you're gonna leave a comment below that's like, this is not a curl, this is a wave, you can move on right now, because here's the thing. When you go to do your hair, do you say, hey honey, really quick, I'm just gonna spend 5 minutes curling my hair? Or do you say, hey, real quick, I'm just gonna wave my hair for 5 minutes. I'm just gonna create waves. Now you're gonna say, I'm gonna curl my hair. So if I call these hair curls, just deal with it. You can have a hair curl for all different levels. It can be a super tight hair curl or loose, but we're gonna be creating loose hair waves with this tutorial right now. So this is gonna heat up. I'm using the heat at 360. It's a very universal heat with tools that are like at 350, somewhere in there. If you have fine hair and your hair tool can go up as high as 410, 450, don't you dare ever start it out at that heat. A lot of hair tools, some of them start out at the high heat and you have to turn it down. Some of them start at the low heat and you have to turn it up. You need to get that heat level down, okay? So I'll never start with that heat. So always start down lower, and if it's really not doing much, add in more heat as you go. Just have to make sure I say that. So it is heated up. I'm gonna roll this out. I haven't done anything to my hair. When I blow dried it, I just blow dried it like people blow dry their hair, and I want to keep my ends to not curl. And if you do that, you're gonna get the ridges and that. So what do? That's where for the underside, I do like to take something like this Le Duo and put it just for the underside, just to get it done out of the way ASAP. Or when you're blow drying your hair, hone in on this part, making sure that this is nice and taken care of, and then hurry on through the rest. And then you don't have to waste the time with adding in a different heat source, another heat source, and you can get to the nitty gritty. But let's do this curl. On my underneath, I really do not spend much time on my curls at all. So I'm gonna leave these ends out and bring it on through pretty quickly. Okay, because once that goes through there, not much is gonna happen. And so I'll show you the difference between the two sides when I add that Le Duo in, but we're just coming on through. And then on this underneath part, I'm just truly just making it come through quicker, and so that it's not flipping out randomly. It's way easier when you add that heat source. Okay, so clearly the Le Duo is ready because the fan has turned on. So on this underneath side, I will just take this and come in like so. This is how I prefer to do it. And again, it can just be quick, to the point, and I'll even do it on this side because it's just way easier. So this underneath one, I just leave it alone and make it like that. So again, you have to, depending on how you're gonna do the two, you have to do it. If I want to go in and add curls to this top part right in here, I could just add a couple waves really quickly for this tool, and then I would be done. with this hair tool. From here, I'm gonna curl this one just because so we're even on that side. But it just comes on through really, really quickly. So curling your hair with short hair, how you do the ends is harder, right? Because with long hair, you have all that wiggle room to not really hit the ends, but with short hair, it feels like you don't. So utilizing a hair tool that is at the size of the curling iron or the curling wand. So with hair at my length, using a 1 inch is much better. Using anything bigger than that, it's gonna be really hard to even get a wraparound or anything, and it's gonna give you a way different look. So how I achieve my curling, my loose waves is I make sure I don't stay in an area for a long time. So I start at the front and then I work my way on through, but I leave the ends out and leave the ends alone. So as I let this sit, I'm not letting it be in there for too long. So you see those ends? And you always want to make sure, like if your hair feels a little rough, make sure that you brush it out. Keep it moving. And having clean hair pieces, it's a game changer. I know it takes a little bit of extra time to pick up that comb or that brush, but it really does make a difference. I know a lot of times stylists, when you see them style, how they'll curl around and then you see them bring it down and it flips this curl. But with short hair, that's a lot harder to combat. So like when I'm teaching in tutorials, I don't try to do it too much for the fact that with shorter hair, when you're watching this and you see people do it, you're like, wait, why can't I do it? Because it does get harder if our hair is not longer. And it really does take those sections. So if you see people doing tutorials where they're coming through and doing it, they're just letting it slide out of one and then coming out from it, giving it a little bit of a twist. But like I said, if it's hard, don't worry about it. The one difference though that I think that there really is from back in the day when we used to use curling irons for everything is, so back in the day when I would curl my hair, I would start at the bottom, I'd come on down, right? We'd start at the bottom and then we'd curl it up like this, okay? That's gonna come up with a way different curl. And that way we don't really, let's see if this is still warm enough to straighten this out. So how we use them now is really different, even if you don't take it in that way. So how we use them now is we're coming to the top, you're letting them sit, the end stays out, and then you slowly kind of work your way on through. So it is different how we curl hair now versus how we used to. So again, come at the top, bring it on through, and then this way, that's how the stylists do it. And then you could bring it through more if you wanted to, or you can leave it out. And it just gives a tighter pull. So a curling iron is gonna be different for you than a curling wand, and you're gonna get completely different results because a curling iron gives you a flat wrap. A wand gives you a rope wrap or a flat wrap. So a rope wrap is when with the wand, you can just rope your hair around it quickly and it sits on the hair with each other, like kind of in a rope type form, right? Because however you twist it is just however it goes. But a flat wrap has to go in smooth and flat. So the curling iron comes in super, super flat, and then as it stays flat the whole time, it has to, in order for it to go on through. Okay, let's talk about ridges. Ridges that curling irons can give you. So the ridge is gonna show up more when you aren't coming in at the right angle. So angles are huge for curling irons, so you have to remember that like how you bring it on through has to stay within that angle. So if you're at the wrong angle, you'll get the ridge. So how to not get the ridge and that angle from that heat ridge is to keep making sure that it's flowing at the same direction and not like when you hold it up how this top turns, if it's gonna give it that ridge or not. So always try and stay in the flow with the hair, okay? So if I'm holding this up here and then I clamp down and it keeps it clamped up there, I'm gonna have problems. So I always wanna make sure as it's coming through, it's flowing with the hair and I'm not holding it too tight in the beginning. Then in the front of my hair, so notice I let go of holding it tight before I put it into the curling iron. And then I lifted that up to get a little bit of volume. So we'll come through on this side. So this can just be super, super quick. This is a easy, like a pretty easy tutorial, easy way to curl your hair and fairly fast. So you'll notice that everything I did is going the same direction. If you're trying to change up your volume and if you are really good at getting ringlets, like you're not seeing much variation and change in your hair, I recommend doing every so often front and back. So you're gonna get different volume like this one. Okay, so this one went back and this one went back. Was supposed to go forward, but then I started coughing and I wasn't paying attention. So this one I'm gonna have go forward. Okay, and then it's just gonna give it can give you different volume, but once we brush this out, I love it when I say we and I'm the one doing it, and then it makes it sound like I'm third personing or there's somebody else doing it, I don't know. But when I brush that out, it's gonna make them hit at different angles, which is gonna give you different volume, and then it will help remove that curly Sue type spiral wave that is going on through your whole entire head that you don't want. So, and then in the back, when I'm doing it, it kind of forms in sections. Like I can tell, sometimes I might miss a spot, but usually I can tell if I'm missing one or not. Just keep it moving. They don't take long. And I think when people are, another thing that people say to me all the time is they're like, I can't get the loose curls that you get. So really pay attention to how long my hair's holding, like staying in the curling iron. My hair is not staying in there for very long. And so that's how I'm gonna get more of that looser wave. And in the front, same thing goes for the front. That's how I'm gonna get that looser wave. I'm gonna do this one forward. So it just needs to be enough. When somebody might watch this and be like, your curling iron sucks. It's not giving you, your curling iron is gonna give you the curl that you want with how long you leave it in there and the heat level that it's at. Don't turn on your heat higher because your daughter's going to a dance and you're gonna turn it up all the way and possibly burn her hair in order to get the curls that you want. There's different products that you can put in your hair to help out with curls. We don't need to burn the hair. But this one is made, and after I go in, if I see that I could have changed a piece differently, then I will. Like if I, let's say this one, I wish that I would have curled this a little bit more. That one didn't even get curled. Oh, because I went wrong side. Then I will go in and add some later. Okay, so we have all of our curls. And I'm gonna wait for just 1 second while this side cools down. You wanna make sure that you pull, or you don't touch the curls unless they were too curly. So don't touch the curls until you get it cooled down in order to keep that curl. So I'm gonna come through. If I have dry hands, I make sure I put oil on my lotion on my hands before I start. It's gonna help you not get that staticky hair because your hands aren't dry. Okay, so I'm gonna come through, and this is where we lose that curly Sue waved look, and we break all of that up. So I just come through and wiggle back and forth and break that up. That's another way that I get the difference within the look with my curls. I always have, with having short hair, this is one thing that I love. This is a dry shampoo powder. So it acts kind of like a texture spray, but it doesn't give the texture, AKA like the oiliness, especially for having finer hair, that a texture spray can. And if you messed up and got too much, it's not gonna affect it like a texture spray does. But if you like texture spray, just use that. I know that a lot of people will tend to get too much, and so that's where this comes in, and I really, really love it. So it will make your hair feel like it has grit to it. It won't make it feel product-y, except for the fact that your hair isn't like as soft. So it's not gonna make it feel heavy like, oh my gosh, there is so much product in your hair, but you'll definitely be able to tell that you put some product there. My girls, the other day, I was on my live and they're like, well, you like to feel that you have product in your hair. I need lotion. And I was like, I don't want to feel I have product like that it's dirty. And I feel like with a texture spray, I end up feeling like I have product that is dirty. This is my natural curly hair piece that is special. Okay, so I'm going to use, why am I so, okay, wait, I have to go get a product. It's so good for the staticky, hold tight. I just got done traveling and my hair always changes. So having fine hair, I spray it in my hand, I don't spray it on my hair. But this, like you can spray it on a brush and it's supposed to help with static. It's from this small business. They have their own salon and they have some, a smaller line of their own products. It's called Frey & Co. And if you just Google Frey, F-R-A-E and Co, and that's the little where you can get it. So more than likely, your hair's not gonna turn out the same on one side as the other, right? And we all get frustrated and wish it would. So what you're gonna do is you're just going to start messing with it and try and get them close to even. So like if this side goes up higher than this side, you wanna go up higher. And you're just gonna try and balance it out as good as you can. If you can't get it, because I'm parted down the center, if you can't get it balanced like you want, then just part it down this onto, like move the part over to the side and then it won't matter and you won't feel that you have to be so balanced. But normally like you're not gonna get it so perfect when you do it. So I'm gonna spray with hairspray. This one is from Kenra, number, I like 25. And voila, there's a loose wave. Don't judge on the back because I can't see it. But there's a loose wave for your hair. Using a curling iron. So hopefully that helped. I personally like using a curling iron for this hairstyle. So check it out. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm Jocelyn.McClellan. And on Facebook, I'm Fit Mission Makeup with Jocelyn McClellan. And I always go live and I do hair tutorials and makeup tutorials. So if you wanna see some of my makeup tutorials, if you like more of that natural look that I give, I use a cream foundation where everything fits into a compact. You get to put the compact however you want. Super, super easy. And that's what I use there too. So you can go check those out. And we're done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you have an amazing, phenomenal day. I hope you know you are boss. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.